we can explore experiences and events that are unexpected. This protects us because future unexpected events are less likely to shatter our framework and traumatize us. Here are a couple of fun facts about trauma. Let's see how they're all connected. Fun fact number 1. Horrific experiences don't always affect people the same way. Fun fact number 2. Youth, or younger age, is a negative prognostic factor in chronic pain. That means a younger person actually has a harder time trying to deal with chronic pain than older people. And fun fact number 3. A relatively good experience can actually have devastating effects on a person. Why is that? Let's explore. We know that the way that the body works is that we take in information, we learn from that information, and we adapt our bodies and our minds to anticipate future things and expect things from the world. For example, let's take a look at what bone does. There are different forces that you can put on bone. They can be compressive loads, tensile loads, shear loads, torsional loads, or bending loads. Now, let's say that a person jumps a lot. So that means that there's a lot of tensional, compressive, and bending forces through their bones. So the bones take in that information, and then the cells within the bone itself starts to realign itself to buttress itself against those loads in the future. Now, people who go to space, astronauts, in the microgravity up in space, they don't have the same type of forces that go through their bones. So their bodies don't adapt to it. So if you take an astronaut who just came back from space and you take a normal person who has been jumping, the person from space, their bones are much weaker and more likely to break under the same forces. Now, if you add new loads, like torsional loads to the bone, then the bone adapts itself and updates that information, that learning inside of it, to become stronger for future forces. Now, the more variety of forces or loads that a bone has exposure to, the better it will be to anticipate future unexpected loads and less likely to break. Another example in the body is the immune system. So in each one of us, we have a whole fleet of immune cells, sort of like our police force or military. And each one of those cells has a different receptor that recognizes different proteins, because proteins are on the outsides of cells, be they our own cells or bacteria, viruses, and other microorganisms. When we're first born, though, this police force has no idea who's good or bad. And it's actually the mother's breast milk that supplies that information to protect us for the first few months of our lives. But after that, we have to learn for ourselves. Now, throughout the day, the immune cells will patrol our entire bodies, and for the most part, just try to figure out what is normal. But once in a while, if it gets hit by something like a virus or bacteria that actually causes harm, then the cell will recognize that, multiply, then attack the virus or bacteria in order to get rid of it. Now, the body remembers this for next time. So that specific police officer, when it recognizes that same virus or bacteria or protein again, it'll immediately multiply and attack that right away to prevent a person from getting sick. Now, this is the fundamental principle behind vaccination. Now, if there's a foreign object that enters the body that is beyond the body's capability of anticipating or expecting, then it will overwhelm a person's body, and the body gets out of control and just starts attacking everything, including the body's own cells. So this is a possible reason why autoimmune diseases exist. Our minds work in a very similar way. We take in information from the world, and then we build a framework of what the world is like. And then we anticipate or we create expectations of what the world should be. Now, if there are any things that are contrary to our expectations, something unexpected, then our bodies will take that information in and will update it. So let's take, for example, my youngest son. He's always been given what he asks for if he asks politely. So one time we were playing Go Fish, and he asked his brother for a card, but he couldn't get it. That was outside of his expectation. So his body couldn't handle that. It was overwhelmed and he threw a tantrum. Now, over time, let's say a person has more exposure to things such as letdowns, betrayals, and failures. Well, their capacity to be comfortable with and anticipate disappointment increases. Now, if an experience is so far beyond the person's expectations, it can cause their internal framework to shatter, and they form brand new expectations of what the world is like. So let's go back to the fun facts at the beginning of this video. The first fun fact was that horrific experiences affect different people differently. So if one person has more life experiences and they're able to restructure their framework to assimilate more and more unexpected events, then horrific accidents won't be as horrific to them, and they'd be able to adapt that or adapt to that better than a person who has a very small framework. So the second fun fact is that younger age is a negative prognostic factor for chronic pain. Well, young people in general have not been exposed to as many life experiences that are unexpected, so their worldviews are smaller and more rigid. So when they experience pain, which is a signal that their bodies are being threatened, if the pain is intense and it's consistent, then the young person's worldview that everything is safe becomes shattered. And they change their expectations to everything is threatening or unsafe. Now, the third fun fact is that something that is relatively good can cause devastating effects in a person's life. So I met this person. He used to be very, very poor. But he knew who he was, and he knew that he couldn't get much in life. But he had a good relationship with his family and a few close friends. At one point, he invents something that was very valuable to a company, and it made him filthy rich overnight. Well, all of a sudden, all of these people came out and were really, really nice to him and gave him whatever he wanted. So his internal framework that, you know what, I can't get much in life and I'm okay with that, all of a sudden changed to become, I can get whatever I want. So when his family or his friends did something he didn't like, well, he would attack them and he would cut them out of his life. Or when his wife would do something that he didn't like, then he'd find a new wife. Over time, the people who loved him and were closest to him started putting a little bit of a distance between themselves and him. The only people who stayed close to him were those people who were after his money. But they can't be trusted, because the moment that he stopped paying them or they couldn't get any more money out of him, they would leave him or betray him. So his internal framework, his way of looking at the world changed again to, I can't trust anybody. And now his life is a mess. So one of the best ways to increase our capacity to deal with life's challenges is to explore. When we are feeling relatively safe, we can explore different types of movements, different types of foods and environments, and different relationships. This gives us more exposure to experiences and events that are unexpected. And each time that happens, our internal framework gets revised and gets built to become bigger and more flexible. This protects us because future unexpected events are less likely to shatter our framework and traumatize us. What type of things do you do on a daily basis to explore?